My dear ones, there is a tenderness in your spirit that the world will always try to borrow. You walk with open arms and a smile that says you belong here, even to those who have not earned that invitation. You pour yourself into every conversation, every favor, every heart that asks for a piece of you. But I must tell you, my child, there comes a time when too much friendliness becomes a burden you carry alone. You see, being kind is a virtue. It is the gold in the human heart. But being too friendly, too open, too giving, too available can become a quiet form of self-betrayal. The soul grows weary when it must keep saying yes to things that deserve a no. You must learn that not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Not everyone who takes from you intends to give in return. There is a difference between light and heat. Light illuminates, but heat burns. When you give too freely, your warmth turns into fire, and soon you are the one who feels scorched. I've seen too many gentle souls confuse friendliness with faith, thinking that goodness means giving endlessly. But, my dear, goodness has limits. God himself drew boundaries. He separated the light from the dark, the land from the sea. If he can say, "This far and no further," so can you. My dear ones, there is a tenderness in your spirit that the world will always try to borrow. You walk through life with a heart wide open, offering smiles to strangers, time to those who rarely value it, and energy to situations that drain more than they give. You carry an unshakable belief that friendliness will be met with kindness, that warmth will be returned, and that people will see the sincerity behind your eyes. But too often, they see that openness as an opportunity, not a gift. They take what they need and move on, leaving you wondering why your kindness feels like a burden. My child, there comes a moment in every gentle soul's journey when they must learn that too much friendliness is not always goodness. It can be a quiet form of surrender. There is beauty in kindness, yes, but there is also wisdom in limits. To love people, you must first love yourself enough to protect your peace. You were not made to please the world at the cost of your spirit. You were not made to say yes to everyone who knocks on your door, especially those who never bring peace with them. Sometimes your light shines so brightly that others come not to celebrate it, but to steal a little for themselves. And if you do not protect that light, soon you will find yourself standing in darkness, wondering how you lost your glow. The truth, my dear, is that not everyone deserves your softness. Not every person who enters your life is meant to stay. Not every hand that reaches for you should be held. You must learn to distinguish between those who value your kindness and those who exploit it. The world will tell you to be nice, to be friendly, to be accommodating. But the world will not tell you what it costs. It will not show you the exhaustion of a soul that gives endlessly without receiving. It will not warn you of the loneliness that follows when you realize your friendliness has been mistaken for weakness. Being too friendly often comes from a longing to be seen, to be loved, to belong. But belonging does not mean bending. Love does not mean losing yourself in the service of others. You do not have to overextend your spirit to prove that you are good. You are already enough, even when you are silent, even when you step back, even when you say no. There is strength in boundaries, there is honor in restraint. So let your friendliness be guided by wisdom. Let your heart remain open but guarded. Let your kindness flow, but only where it is respected. For when you stop being too friendly, you do not become cold. You become free. You free yourself from the burden of overgiving, from the weight of false connections, from the fear of being misunderstood. And in that freedom, you find something far more valuable than approval. You find peace, purpose, and power. You see, being kind is a virtue, one of the purest gifts a human being can possess. It is the golden thread that binds us to one another, the light that cuts through the darkness of this world. But kindness and over-friendliness are not the same thing. One comes from a place of self-respect, the other from a need for validation. When you give beyond what your heart can handle, when you smile through disrespect or stay silent through discomfort, you are no longer being kind, you are abandoning yourself in the name of being liked. There is a cost to that, my dear, and it is far too heavy for a soul that was meant to soar. Too often, we confuse goodness with availability. We think that to be a good person, we must always be there for everyone, always say yes, always make ourselves small so others can stand tall. But true goodness does not demand your exhaustion. It does not ask you to break your own spirit to keep someone else whole. You can be kind without being consumed, you can be loving without being used, and you can be friendly without losing your power. The world may not understand this balance, but your spirit will. Because deep down, your heart knows when it is giving from abundance and when it is giving from emptiness. When you are too friendly, you open doors that not everyone deserves to walk through. You invite people into the sacred spaces of your heart without checking if they will respect what they find there. You offer your time to those who do not value it, your energy to those who drain it, and your compassion to those who twist it for their own gain. And each time you do this, you lose a little piece of yourself until one day you wake up feeling empty, wondering why you no longer recognize the person in the mirror. But it is not too late. You can reclaim yourself by learning that kindness has boundaries and love has limits. There is nothing unkind about protecting yourself. There is nothing rude about saying no. There is no shame in walking away from people who cannot meet you with the same grace you offer them. It is not your duty to fix, to please, or to heal everyone who crosses your path. Sometimes the most powerful act of kindness you can offer the world is to stay whole. When you honor your own boundaries, you teach others how to honor you. When you choose peace over people pleasing, you give your soul permission to rest. So, my dear, hold your kindness like a candle, close enough to light your way, but never so exposed that others can snuff it out. You can still be warm, still be loving, still be gentle. But this time, let your friendliness serve your peace, not your pain. There is a difference between light and heat. Light illuminates, it guides, it nurtures, it gives direction to those who seek truth. Heat, on the other hand, consumes. It can burn everything in its path if left uncontrolled. When you give too much of yourself to others without discernment, your warmth turns into heat. You find yourself exhausted, not because you gave love, but because you gave it to those who only came to take. You see, my dear, when you allow everyone to have access to your light, some will bask in it with gratitude, but others will only linger until they've taken what they need. And when they leave, you're left with a dim flame, unsure of how to rekindle it. I have known souls who gave endlessly, who believed that giving more meant loving more. But love, in its truest form, is not measured by sacrifice alone. It is measured by balance. Even the sun sets. Even the ocean has tides that pull back to regain its strength. Why then do we think we must keep pouring from a cup that is already empty? When you are too friendly, too eager to please, you begin to forget where your own boundaries lie. You start to mistake the joy of giving for the fear of losing. You smile when you're tired, agree when you disagree, and show up for people who wouldn't cross the street for you. My dear, you are not meant to burn out in the name of being good. The world may tell you that selflessness is noble, but what good is a giving heart that no longer beats for itself? What good is light that can no longer shine? When you keep saying yes to everything, you eventually say no to yourself. You neglect your own needs, your dreams, your quiet moments of rest. And soon, the very friendliness that once made you feel connected becomes the chain that ties you to exhaustion. There is a sacred power in learning to protect your energy. It is not selfish, it is necessary. Every time you choose silence over forced conversation, distance over constant availability, and self-care over obligation, you are honoring your light. You are saying, my spirit matters too. You are teaching the world that your warmth is a privilege, not a guarantee. Not everyone deserves front row access to your soul. Some must stand at the edge and earn your presence through respect and reciprocity. Let your kindness be a gift, not a sacrifice. Let your friendliness be intentional, not automatic. The world doesn't need you to please. It needs you to shine, to inspire, to stand tall in your truth. And to do that, You must stop mistaking endless giving for strength. True strength is knowing when to step back, when to rest, and when to protect your flame from those who only come to feel its heat without offering light in return. There is a quiet kind of suffering that comes from living for the approval of others. It is the slow erosion of your own voice, the fading of your truth beneath the noise of constant pleasing. When you try too hard to be liked, you begin to lose the parts of yourself that make you real. Authenticity is traded for acceptance, and your worth becomes something you measure through other people's smiles. My dear, there is no peace in a life spent trying to make everyone happy. It is a chase with no finish line, a race you can never win. Because no matter how kind, how giving, how friendly you are, there will always be someone who thinks it isn't enough. You were not born to live small. You were not made to shrink your personality so that others could feel comfortable around you. When you choose authenticity over approval, you stand in the fullness of who you are. You begin to realize that being true is far more powerful than being popular. There is a strength in saying, "This is me," even when that truth doesn't please everyone. The people who love you for your honesty are the ones who deserve your energy. The ones who only stay when you agree, who only applaud when you conform, are not your people. You owe them nothing, not your time, not your friendliness, not your peace. Many people wear friendliness like a mask, smiling through discomfort, nodding through disrespect, and pretending to be fine when their heart is weary. But every time you silence your truth for the sake of others, a piece of you fades. You begin to live half a life, one that looks pleasant on the outside but feels hollow on the inside. True connection cannot grow in pretense. Real relationships are born from honesty, not from a desire to be accepted at any cost. You have to stop being afraid of who might leave when you start being real. Because the ones who stay, those are the ones who truly see you. Authenticity is not arrogance. It is freedom. It is standing firm in your boundaries, speaking your truth with grace, and knowing that your value does not depend on the approval of others. When you stop seeking validation, you start living with purpose. The weight that once bent your back begins to lift, and you finally breathe without fear of judgment. You discover that peace is not found in being liked. It is found in being honest with yourself. So, my dear, do not dim your light to make others comfortable. Do not twist your spirit into shapes that make others accept you. You were not meant to blend in, you were meant to stand out. When you choose authenticity over approval, you claim your voice, your power, and your freedom. And that is when life begins to feel like it truly belongs to you. Your energy is sacred, my dear. It is the invisible force that fuels your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. It is the quiet rhythm that keeps your soul alive, yet so often you give it away without thought. You pour your energy into people who drain it, into conversations that leave you empty, into situations that bring no peace. You forget that your spirit is not an endless well. It needs time to refill, to breathe, to be still. When you keep giving without pause, your energy begins to fade, and soon even the simplest joys start to feel heavy. You begin to wake up tired, not because you worked too hard, but because you gave too much of yourself to things that didn't deserve it. Your energy is your most valuable currency. You can earn back money, rebuild opportunities, even heal a broken heart. But once your energy is gone, everything else begins to crumble. That is why you must guard it as you would guard something precious. Not everyone should have access to your spirit. Not every person who calls you a friend deserves your time. It is not coldness to protect your peace, it is wisdom. You cannot save the world if you are constantly sacrificing your own balance. You cannot lift others if you are too exhausted to stand on your own. There is power in knowing when to step back. There is peace in saying, I will not give my energy to this today. The world glorifies business and constant connection, but the soul craves quiet. It needs space to reflect, to heal, to grow. You must learn to honor that need. Spend time alone without guilt. Say no without explanation. Protect your mornings from negativity, your nights from overthinking, and your heart from people who only show up when they need something. You are not a source of endless supply. You are a human being who deserves rest, care, and boundaries. Many people will try to make you feel guilty for preserving your energy. They will call you distant, selfish, or cold. But remember, those who benefit from your overgiving will always resent your boundaries. Let them. You do not owe anyone the constant availability that drains your spirit. True friends will understand when you need space. Real love will not demand your energy as proof of affection. It will respect your balance because it values your well-being more than your convenience. So, my dear, begin to treat your energy as the sacred thing it is. Choose carefully where you invest it. Give it to what uplifts you, what inspires you, what aligns with your peace. Pour it into your dreams, your passions, your healing. When you guard your energy, you guard your destiny. You begin to move through the world lighter, calmer, stronger. And in that calm, you find that your energy, protected, purified, and renewed, becomes a source of true power, not exhaustion. Being friendly is a beautiful trait, but there is a fine line between being friendly and being foolish. Too often, we blur that line without realizing it. We offer our time, our trust, and our hearts too quickly, believing that everyone sees the world with the same purity we do. We mistake politeness for connection, and we confuse attention for care. But not every smiling face carries good intentions. Some come to take, not to share. Some come to drain, not to build. And when you are too friendly, too open, too available, you make it easy for those people to use your warmth for their own benefit. You must understand that not every person who crosses your path deserves a place in your life. Some are there to teach you a lesson about discernment. You cannot treat every stranger as a friend, nor every friend as family. Friendliness is a gift, but when given without wisdom, it can become a weakness. There are people who will take your kindness as an invitation to disrespect. They will interpret your silence as approval and your patience as permission. They will keep asking and taking and draining until you finally realize that your generosity has turned against you. Being friendly does not mean being available to everyone at every time for every reason. It means being kind but cautious, warm but aware. You have a right to protect your energy, your time, and your peace. You are allowed to walk away from those who do not value your presence. Too much friendliness often comes from a deep desire to be accepted, to avoid conflict, or to appear good-hearted. But my dear, goodness is not measured by how much you give away. It is measured by how much truth you live by. There is nothing good in allowing people to mistreat you. There is no virtue in tolerating disrespect in the name of friendliness. The world has taught us that being liked is more important than being respected. But I tell you, it is better to be respected than to be liked. Respect endures, false friendliness fades. When you start setting boundaries, you will notice that some people will fall away. Let them. The ones who stay are the ones who value your light, not just your warmth. They will understand that your friendliness has depth, not desperation. They will honor your time instead of demanding it. So, learn to choose your friendliness wisely. Let it be rooted in confidence, not in fear. Be open, but not exposed. Be kind, but not naïve. You can greet the world with a smile and still protect your soul with discernment. You can help others without losing yourself in the process. Remember, it's not your duty to make everyone comfortable. It's your duty to honor your peace. The moment you stop being too friendly, you begin to walk with strength, grace, and self-respect. And that is the kind of presence no one can take advantage of. There is a certain power in silence that many people fail to understand. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your response, your reaction, silence becomes a language of strength. When you stop talking so much, when you stop explaining, defending, and justifying yourself to everyone, you begin to discover a deeper kind of peace. You learn that not everything deserves an answer, and not every situation requires your energy. There is grace in restraint, dignity in quiet, and wisdom in choosing stillness over noise. Too often, people mistake silence for weakness, but those who know its power understand that it is the foundation of true control. When you are always friendly, always talking, always giving, you leave no space for mystery or reflection. You reveal too much too soon to people who may not deserve to know your heart. But silence, my dear, allows you to observe. It gives you the time to see people for who they truly are before you decide who deserves your kindness. When you listen more than you speak, you begin to hear what others try to hide behind their words. You begin to sense intentions that eyes and smiles cannot conceal. Silence sharpens your intuition. It teaches you to read the unspoken truths that loudness often drowns out. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. When someone tries to provoke you, stay silent. When someone disrespects you, stay calm. When someone doubts you, keep working. Let your success speak louder than your defense. People who are quick to speak often reveal their insecurities. People who are grounded in silence reveal their strength. You do not need to explain your worth to anyone. You do not need to justify your choices or prove your goodness. The right people will understand you even in your quiet moments, and the wrong ones will never listen no matter how much you explain. Silence also gives you back your energy. When you stop talking about every detail of your life, you stop giving away your power. You protect your dreams from envy, your goals from interference, and your peace from unnecessary chaos. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Some things are meant to be kept sacred, nurtured in quiet, until they are strong enough to stand on their own. The world may praise loud voices, but the most profound transformations happen in silence. The caterpillar doesn't announce when it's becoming a butterfly. So, my dear, learn the art of quiet strength. Do not confuse silence with submission. Your stillness is not emptiness. It is awareness. It is the space where clarity grows and wisdom blooms. There will come a time when you realize that silence protects what friendliness often exposes. You do not owe everyone your words, you owe yourself your peace. And sometimes, the most powerful way to rise, to heal, and to protect your spirit is to stay silent and let your actions speak the language your words never could. And so, carry this with you. Your friendliness is a gift, but your self-respect is the greater treasure. May you know when to open the door with a genuine smile, and when to gently place the key in your own pocket, keeping your heart safe until the right souls arrive.